History is not always what it seems. Sometimes the stories we hold as gospel, the tales passed down through generations, are built on foundations less solid than we believe. They are shaped by memory, myth, and the simple human need for a compelling narrative. We often look back at the past and see a clear, linear path of events with causes and effects neatly aligned. But reality is rarely so tidy. The Scramogue ambush, a bloody episode from the Irish War of Independence, is a perfect case in point. For a century, its story has been told in a certain way, a tale of betrayal and brilliant intelligence. But what if the accepted truth is itself a myth? What if the real story is something far more grounded, yet just as remarkable? On a quiet country road in County Roscommon on the 23rd of March, 1921, history was written in a hail of bullets. A convoy of Royal Irish Constabulary officers, traveling in a Crossley tender lorry, was making its way through the landscape. This was the era of the Black and Tans, a time of brutal conflict that tore through the Irish countryside. The air was thick with suspicion and violence. For the men in that lorry, it was just another patrol, another day in a long and bitter war. They were unaware that they were driving directly into a meticulously planned trap, one that would go down in the annals of the conflict as a devastatingly effective operation for the Irish Republican Army. The IRA's South Roscommon Brigade lay in wait. Concealed along the roadside, they had prepared their positions with deadly precision. When the RIC lorry rumbled into the kill zone, the order was given, and the ambush was sprung. The attack was swift, brutal, and overwhelming. The element of surprise was total. The RIC officers, caught completely off guard, stood little chance. The engagement was over quickly, leaving behind a scene of carnage that would shock the British authorities and embolden the Republican cause. It was a tactical victory for the IRA, one that demonstrated their growing sophistication and lethality in guerrilla warfare. The question that immediately arose, and has lingered ever since, was simple. How did they know? The success of the Scramogue ambush was so complete that it seemed to defy simple explanation. How could an IRA unit so perfectly anticipate the movements of a police convoy? The answer, it was said, lay in a conspiracy. A story quickly took hold that the IRA had an inside source, a mole buried deep within the ARIC or its network of informants. This narrative, which became known as the Ditch Conspiracy, suggested that a secret message had been passed to the IRA, a tip-off detailing the convoy's exact route and timing. This tale of espionage and betrayal provided a dramatic and satisfying explanation for the ambush's success, cementing itself as the definitive account of what happened on that fateful March day. Make sure to hit that subscribe button for more content like this. The mainstream account of the Scramogue ambush is a story worthy of a spy thriller. It centers on the idea of a secret informant, a person who risked everything to leak vital intelligence to the IRA. This theory posits that the ambush was not merely a result of good luck or skilled scouting, but the direct outcome of a calculated act of treachery within the Crown Force's ranks. The Ditch Conspiracy gets its name from the supposed method of communication. A secret sign or message left in a ditch along the road, alerting the waiting IRA volunteers that their target was on its way. This narrative has been repeated in countless books and articles, becoming the accepted version of events for decades. According to this popular history, the IRA's victory was a triumph of intelligence gathering. The informant, whose identity remains a subject of intense speculation, allegedly provided the critical details that allowed the South Roscommon Brigade to prepare their trap with such lethal accuracy. The story fed into a wider perception of the IRA as a sophisticated organization with eyes and ears everywhere, capable of penetrating the very heart of the British administration in Ireland. It transformed the ambush from a simple military engagement into a complex tale of espionage, where the pen, or in this case the whispered word, was just as mighty as the sword. This framing made the IRA's success seem all the more impressive. The conspiracy theory provided a neat and compelling answer to a difficult question. How else could a small, poorly equipped group of guerrilla fighters achieve such a stunning victory against the well-armed forces of the British Empire? The idea of an inside man offered a logical explanation. It suggested a level of strategic depth and intelligence prowess that elevated the IRA's capabilities in the public imagination. For those sympathetic to the Republican cause, it was a story of cunning and bravery. For the British authorities, it was a deeply worrying sign that their security apparatus was compromised from within, adding a layer of paranoia to an already fraught situation. The ditch conspiracy became an integral part of the ambush's legacy, passed down through local lore and solidified in historical accounts. It was a powerful story that seemed to explain everything perfectly. The image of a hidden message, a prearranged signal, and a dramatic betrayal captured the imagination. It added a layer of mystique and intrigue to the event, making it more than just another tragic episode in a brutal war. The narrative became so entrenched that for many, questioning it seemed unthinkable. The conspiracy was not just a theory. It was considered a historical fact, an essential component of the story of Scramogue that explained its devastating outcome. However, in recent years, historians have begun to cast a more critical eye over the ditch conspiracy. A new wave of research is challenging this long-accepted narrative, suggesting that the truth might be less cinematic but no less fascinating. These fresh perspectives argue that the IRA's success at Scramogue may not have been the result of a single dramatic act of espionage at all. Instead, it might be attributed to more mundane yet equally effective methods of guerrilla warfare. This re-examination forces us to question how historical narratives are formed and how easily compelling stories can overshadow more complex realities. The ditch, it seems, may have been just a ditch. This alternative view proposes that the IRA's victory was built on a foundation of meticulous local intelligence and routine scouting. IRA volunteers were local men. They knew the roads, the fields, and the people of Roscommon intimately. They understood the patterns of life, and crucially, the patterns of their enemy. The RIC patrols, while seemingly random, often fell into predictable routines. A dedicated team of scouts, observing movements over days or weeks, could likely have predicted the convoy's route and timing with a reasonable degree of accuracy. The success of the ambush in this light was a testament to patience, observation, and deep local knowledge, rather than a secret message from a mysterious informant. Scrutinizing the evidence provides further reason to doubt the conspiracy theory. When we delve into the available witness statements from IRA veterans and the official RIC records, a clear confirmation of an informant is conspicuously absent. While stories of informants were common during the War of Independence, concrete verifiable evidence for one at Scramogue is hard to find. Many IRA accounts focus on the planning, the scouting, and the military execution of the ambush itself, with little or no mention of a secret tip-off. If a high-level mole was so critical to the operation, it seems unusual that it would not be more prominently featured in the private recollections of those who took part. So why did the ditch conspiracy become so widely accepted? Such stories can take on a life of their own for several reasons. They add a layer of drama and intrigue, making for a better story. In the aftermath of a successful ambush, attributing it to an informant could also have been a deliberate piece of psychological warfare, sowing seeds of mistrust and paranoia within the RIC. Over time, rumor can harden into accepted fact, especially when it provides a simple explanation for a complex event. The narrative of the brave informant and the secret signal is far more compelling than the methodical reality of weeks of patient observation from a damp ditch. The debate over the Scramogue ambush highlights a fundamental challenge in writing history. We are often left to piece together the past from fragmented sources, official reports written with a specific agenda, personal memories faded by time, and local folklore embellished with each telling. In the case of Scramogue, the official RIC reports are focused on the immediate aftermath and the loss of life, while the IRA veterans' statements were often recorded decades later. Neither provides a definitive smoking gun to prove or disprove the existence of an informant. We are left to weigh the probabilities and interrogate the narratives that have been passed down to us. The absence of concrete evidence for the ditch conspiracy does not mean it is definitively false, but it does force us to consider other possibilities more seriously. The idea that the ambush was a product of grassroots intelligence and military discipline is, in many ways, a more powerful story. It speaks to the effectiveness of the IRA as a guerrilla army, deeply embedded within the local community and capable of turning its knowledge of the landscape into a formidable weapon. This interpretation shifts the focus from a single shadowy figure to the collective effort of the South Roscommon Brigade, highlighting their skill, patience, and dedication to their cause. This re-examination teaches us a valuable lesson about historical truth. It reminds us that history is not a static collection of facts, but an ongoing conversation. New evidence emerges, old sources are re-evaluated, and long-held beliefs are challenged. The story of Scramogue is a testament to the power of narrative and the way in which myths can become enshrined as history. It forces us as students of the past to be more critical, to look beyond the most dramatic explanations, and to appreciate the complexities and uncertainties that lie at the heart of historical events. The truth is often messier and more nuanced than the stories we like to tell, and so the mystery of the Scramogue ambush endures. Was it a masterstroke of espionage, a betrayal that sealed the fate of the Éire men before their journey even began? Or was it the culmination of careful planning and intimate local knowledge, a victory born from the very soil of Rosgmon? Perhaps the evidence that could settle the debate once and for all still lies hidden, tucked away in a dusty attic in an unopened letter or a long-forgotten diary. Until that day comes, the echoes of the gunfire on that lonely country road continue to reverberate, leaving us to wonder what really happened, and reminding us that history's most compelling secrets are often those that are yet to be revealed.